Hi everybody, it's Professor Russo again. We are certainly having ourselves quite a weird semester, aren't we, with about 3 meetings and we're already 5 weeks into the semester. But since we've got to keep going, since we don't do any makeup classes like you might have done in high school, I've got a few things, a few tips here for you guys so that you can start working on the drafts, the final drafts of that first paper, and also that we can start working on our next idea, which is going to have us also be doing analysis but taking a look at film. So let's talk briefly about what's going to be coming up this week. So a couple things to think about: what you're going to need to do and what you're going to need to know. Do check your email for your Essay 1 feedback. They were sent to those Nova emails, so I know you should be checking those regularly, but in case you don't, make sure you check there. You will see I'm going to send it out on Blackboard, so you'll get that in email as well, that I'm going to have some extra office hours. I did ask a lot of you to attend those office hours so that we could talk. It's all the more important because I was hoping that we'd have time to spend a couple of minutes one-on-one, each of us today, doing conferences, but obviously that's not going to happen. So this could be a great way to make it up. I've got office hours on Thursday, extra ones from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I've got my regular Tuesday office hours from 10 a.m. or whenever Nova opens until 12:30. But on Tuesday I can also stay late. All you need to do is let me know. So I'm going to continue going forward with a few other tips for you guys. First thing to think about are a few things that might help us with our essays. So I've got some examples for you. Right here I've got a paragraph, and this is going to be found as well in the Week 5 folder. Let me show you that. If you go into Week 5 and you look at homework now, you can see that I have added, along with a changed due date here for the paper, I have added in some example paragraphs as well as some transition helpers. So let's talk about these example paragraphs first. Let's zoom this guy out a little bit so you can see him a little bit bigger. So this comes from a commercial that none of you guys did analyze, so that should give everybody a little bit of fairness. But it's a Prudential commercial. Okay, so it's trying to sell insurance. So for many of you guys, when you turned in your outlines or turned in, those of you that chose to go ahead and write the full draft, I pointed out that a lot of you, I said, you need to really think about what you literally see on the screen, what is happening at that moment, and then how and why is what's happening in that moment going to make a viewer care, going to make a viewer relate to it, or going to inspire whatever emotional response you said that the commercial creates. So in this case, we have a case of a student who is trying to say that the commercial they're watching makes you feel optimistic. That was their big main point, that this commercial made you feel optimistic and confident, and so since you felt that optimism, you wanted to go ahead and buy the insurance. You wanted to buy the product. Okay, so if you want to take a look at the whole commercial, link is right up here for you, so you can just copy and paste that into your browser. But for the sake of time right now, I'm going to go into how they break down their paragraphs. So this is what they'd had in the outline to begin with. They were focusing on makes you feel optimistic and positive about future. So this idea was going to be one main strategy they looked at, that somehow thinking about the future would make you feel optimistic and positive. Let's look at how this author breaks it down. As you can see, I've color-coded it. We've got things that are yellow, green, and blue to sort of break us through the 3 different points they have for how this commercial is going to make us feel something. So we've got a very clear topic sentence. One purpose of this commercial is to make viewers feel optimistic and confident about their lives. Great. And now they're going to break it into 3 parts: music, colorful and interested people, and a lighthearted magnet experiment. If you watch this video, you'll see people playing this little game with some magnets. So from the very beginning, there's upbeat and happy music in the background, suggesting that this magnet project of thinking about the past and the future is going to be fun and exciting. So we talk about not just that the music is there, but rather that how and why that might be effective. In addition to the music, the overall setting is bright and happy. There are many shots of a blue sky and green trees with buildings in the background. Placing the commercial in a park outdoors is relaxing and comfortable, and the scene mimics a barbecue instead of a discussion on the importance of insurance. So that last phrase, I emphasized it, mimics a barbecue, because you saw from many of you, if you read your comments, I said something like, hey, what does this make us think about? Does this remind us of anything that's common to our lives? Does it mimic anything that we would expect or not expect? So in this case, the author's choice to say that the setting in a park mimics a barbecue instead of a discussion about the importance of insurance, what they're doing right there, that's the real work of analysis, is saying this choice, right, to put the commercial in a park outdoors creates a feeling of mimicking this barbecue. So they're making that join between this is what I see on the screen, seeing the commercial in the park, this is what it might make me think about or remind me of. And that's the true purpose of analysis. It's always going to be, as we had said in class, we want to connect what do I see on screen to how and why that makes me feel something. And that's what we have right there in that last line. So for those of you that might say, okay, take for example the Procter & Gamble one. This makes us think about mothers. Right, but why? Literally say, seeing somebody whopping up a foot, fixing a hurt child, mimics what most viewers probably remember their own mothers doing right there. And so that's that key connection right there to make analysis. So as you're building your own paragraph, some of you said, I felt like I was repetitive. But we can see this person is talking about different little points, and what they're always doing is making that connection. Let's look at that last part, the idea of the experiment itself and how that's a choice and how and why that makes a particular impact on the viewer. So let's look here. Besides the music and the setting, the gimmick of the magnets establishes a strong tone that engaging in these difficult decisions can be entertaining rather than depressing. Rather than sitting around having intense deliberations about their lives, people are playing a little lighthearted game which helps them to reflect. Instead of asking viewers to think about heavy matters right away, placing little magnets on a board appears harmless even though it is encouraging people to think deeply. So again, it's not just the gimmick of the magnets makes us happy, but rather why it does. It says it makes us happy because it goes against what we expect, rather than sitting around and having intense deliberations about their lives. So right there, that's where the real heart of analysis is coming. This person is saying, essentially to us, normally when we think about something like insurance, we're having some terrible deliberation, thinking about death and what's going to happen to our kids and things that are pretty heavy. But it says, rather than doing this, we play a lighthearted game. So it makes us feel like we're going to reflect, but in an optimistic way. So all of that goes back to their main point. So as you're looking at your feedback on your own paper, that's something I want you to try to do, and it's absolutely something that I'd be more than happy to help you with in office hours. Let's take one more look at this. I'm going to show you how we might be able to build a paragraph taking a look at some stuff I've pulled from people's outlines. So we're going to look at this one first. I've got one from somebody who wrote about the Levi's jeans ad. So this is directly pulled exactly from somebody's outline. Overall, it's some good ideas. This is their thesis statement right up here. Okay. The ad uses products and its citizens and churches to suggest the product offers resilience and pride through the visual images and spoken words. This advertisement effectively targets the hardworking people of the lower and middle class. Great. Makes a lot of sense. We could see that going on. So we know that we're going to be focusing on these ideas about resilience and pride. So I'm going to go ahead and put those highlighted right here. And then we are also going to say that we're getting those from visual images and spoken words. And they've given us a little bit as well about what this ad is supposed to be targeting. So one of their strategies is going to be what the lower class citizens wore. We see the statements. Lower class citizens wore blue jeans to work to rebuild their town. The citizens of Braddock, PA wore blue jeans to symbolize that they support the Levi's Jean Company. The company is referring to hardworking people from the ad to come across that the jeans are durable and can handle hardships. All these ideas are generally great, but as you can probably see yourself, it gets a little bit repetitive. We also don't have a super clear topic sentence right here, and we don't have a ton of very detailed evidence right here. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to try to grab this all here and start to put it together as if I'm writing a paragraph. You guys can think about doing the same things with your outlines. So we know what we need to have all together now. But let's look and see if I can make this a little bit more specific. To begin, what I'm going to try to do, and I'll turn on my track changes right now so that you guys can see it as it goes. Highlight changes, there you go. going to start by making sure that I have a clear topic sentence. So, one thing to think about is that a topic sentence it offers a new point in support of the thesis claim, and it's broad enough to cover everything in the paragraph. So, this new point in support of the thesis claim, this is one way that you guys can think about how do I not make myself too repetitive. So if I've got this thesis claim about resilience and pride, I always want to be talking about how does this specific thing I'm going to look at go back to resilience and pride. And the same thing for all of you in your own commercials. How does each specific point you're going to look help prove whatever overall emotion, image, idea that you're supposed to get out of this ad? So this is what the citizens wore. By itself, that's not going to help us be super clear on what our topic sentence is. So instead, I'm going to try to add something to say, how does this show resilience and pride? So my claim is going to be, the citizens of Braddock wear blue Levi's blue jeans while working to suggest that these jeans can offer resilience. Okay? So, I've got that as my topic sentence. Now what I want to try to focus on is one specific place where we see these citizens wearing the blue jeans. So, I'm going to keep this overall statement. There are several places where the lower class citizens wore blue jeans to work to rebuild this town. If I just keep going, I think we can all agree that the next sentence then would be really repetitive. The citizens of Braddock, PA wore blue jeans to symbolize that they support the Levi's Jeans Company. Were they really trying to show that they supported the Levi's Jeans Company? Not so much. It was Levi's, after all, who chose to put this ad together. So it's instead we want to look at it as what is the company trying to get me to think about. Plus we've already mentioned they're wearing jeans a couple times. So instead what I think we should do is look for a specific place where we see this happened. So I'm going to lead in with a good transition phrase, for instance, and then I'm going to go back and rewatch my ad and see if I can find a specific place that I would say might show resilience or would otherwise be inspiring. So if I go back into my ad, which I've got right here, I found a place right around 1 minute where I see somebody wearing jeans and they're about to start a project, and I think it shows a lot of resilience. So let's take a look at this one.
A long time ago, things got broken here. People got sad and laughed.
Okay, again, that was just one small moment. Let's bring it back and try it one more time. Our gentleman wearing jeans here. So, right around there. The great thing about working with online videos is we can just stop and pause. So right there, I've got somebody wearing jeans, right? They're standing in what looks like a broken down theater, but look at some of the choices that are made here. We've got the person standing right in front of a Statue of Liberty. We've got some touches just in the side that show us that this might have one day been a grand place, right? We've got beautiful curtains painted on here. And yet at the same time, we also have things that show it decaying. We've got those marks on the wall. We see what looks like debris or dust down here. Let's go a little bit further.
Long time ago.
Again, we've got that idea of things that are perhaps once grand. I mean, these are beautiful chairs. We can see that beautiful intricacy, but we also see them hurt, broken. Keep going.
Things got broken here. People got sad and laughed.
Now, did we see that last little, let's see if I can get the screen right there again.
People got sad.
We see the man using his arms almost as if he's punching while he's wearing these jeans. This is the same gentleman that is going to be cleaning up this theater, and he's got, punching. So I'm looking at only, that was what, maybe 10 seconds of ad, but I think I can get a lot out of that. So I'm going to think about that specific moment and describe it. This way I'm not going to be repetitive, and better still, I'm also going to offer some very good, strong, specific analysis. So I can say, for instance, in one scene, a young man is seen in a broken down theater. The theater is clearly one that was once grand, but is now broken. The man stands proudly in his jeans in front of a picture of the Statue of Liberty. Make that a proper noun, of course, Statue of Liberty. As he prepares to dive into work, we see him punching the air as if he is pumping himself up, refusing to give up. So, I'm talking about a really specific moment that's going on now in these couple sentences. Now, let me take a few minutes and say, how and why would that give me this idea of resilience that I claimed earlier? Thus, and I'm going to join it up with this person's original explanation. Thus, the company is referring to the hard-working people from the ad to come across to show that the jeans are durable and can handle the hardships. The young man is wearing these jeans while taking on a tough job, and his punching moment makes a viewer almost think of a winner in a fight. The painting of Lady Liberty also is inspiring. It reminds viewers of the best of American ideals. Thus, all in all, putting this man in Levi's jeans is an effective way to suggest the product offers more than pants, but rather a sense of resilience in the face of obstacles. Boom. So look at that now. It's a lot bigger. And I understand this was just the outline, so I'm not at all surprised. I was not saying you did anything wrong when you just gave me small bits. What I'm trying to do is to push you towards that next level. And so as you can see, the outline can be a great helper, but as you're going through it, I encourage you. It's a great thing about using computers. We can copy and paste. We can do exactly what I did, pause and look at just one tiny moment, say, what does that body language show me? What does this, background show me behind the person? All those things. That's the true heart of analysis. So now instead of just saying over and over again that people are wearing jeans to rebuild, I say, hey, look at this one place where we see somebody in the jeans. Look at what he's doing. And then let me think about how what he is doing might make me think about something else. When I see him punch, it's almost as if he's winning a fight. So I can read that as some type of a metaphor for winning the fight against a town, ending up being in trouble. So I'm going to save this, and I will also put this up in the week 5 folder so that you guys can take a look at it. Use it as sort of guidelines for as you start to build your own body paragraphs. And like I said, that's why I really do encourage anybody that wants to come and do some office hours with me. So, one thing to note, if you did look on Blackboard so far, you would have seen that I have edited the schedule already. So I am going to give everybody until Tuesday at 5 p.m. to turn in the paper. You are still welcome to turn it in Monday if you don't come to class on Tuesday, because you do need to submit it both on Blackboard and a hard copy. I'm going to leave a box outside my office door for you to do that. But that's designed for anybody that does want extra time to come to office hours, because now you'll have office hours this Tuesday, this Thursday, as well as my regular office hours next Monday to do it, as well as next Tuesday. So I'm really giving you 4 chances to come in and talk about this. I really do encourage you. I know it's really difficult whenever things are messy with regards to schedules, but I think this is an important skill to learn, not just for this class, but truly for all of your classes. And getting a good commercial analysis is going to really help you do what we're going to look at next, which is our second essay. So let's go briefly into the week 5 folder so that you can take a look at what's coming up. I encourage everybody to fully read the assignment that you're going to be doing. This is going to take us up all the way to the end of March, our second essay assignment. And it's going to be a bit longer, so I was looking for 3 to 4 pages on the ad essay. We're going to have 4 to 5 here, looking at an American dream in film. And as I'm going to show you guys, you're going to have a chance to actually pick the films. I'm going to give us one that we're all going to watch to start, but then you'll have a chance to help pick the films. So let's look into week 5. A couple of things to do here. So first what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what we were going to have done in class today if we all met up, which was we're going to talk briefly about this notion of what the American dream is, and then you'll have a chance to actually give me some feedback on that. So really briefly, let's take a look at this short PowerPoint to talk about what the American dream is. So I know many of you have probably heard this phrase before, but are wondering exactly what that means. We take it from a lot of places. So you look at this idea from the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So from our very founding document, literally the thing that said we were a country, we have a notion that you are supposed to be able to be happy as being a right. Does that have anything to do with this notion of the American dream? One of the first places where we see it identified is actually during one of the times that America is in one of its hardest times, the Great Depression. A gentleman named James Trullo Adams, who in his book The Epic of America, written in 1931, stated the American dream is that dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to ability or achievement. It is a difficult dream for the European upper class to interpret adequately, and too many of us ourselves have grown weary and mistrustful of it. It is not a dream of motor cars and high wages merely, but a dream of a social order in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain the fullest stature of which they are innately capable, and be recognized by others for what they are, regardless of the fortuitous circumstances of birth or position. So this might sound a bit antiquated, but I think we can see that it's got a lot of ideas that we would still agree are put into this mythology, that it's not just about money alone, but rather this idea of an order where everybody's able to rise up based on their own hard work, based on what strategies they have, based on what talents they have. So we've got some questions that we're going to be talking about on our discussion board today. I've got a few more modern readings for you to look at. So this idea of what is the American dream? Define it. What is it not? Who is entitled to it? Who is not entitled to it? Are we all entitled to it? Do you really think so? Do you think it has changed? Is it possible to achieve it? Now? Is it possible to achieve it? Was it possible to achieve it before? And how do you get it? That is to say, do the means matter? These are some questions that we're going to be looking at over the next few weeks, including some people that are saying, maybe not so much. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it, and that comes from George Carlin, a comedian, from a stand-up routine he did. So all some thought-provoking ideas there. Now, what we were going to be working on in class was we were actually going to be together listing some ideas for the American dream on the board, so instead we'll move that over to the discussion board. So after you finished watching my lecture, 3 brief articles for you to look at that are in this readings folder. And you will need to read them before you do the discussion board because it does ask you to summarize their definitions of the American dream. So the first 2, What Happens to the American Dream in a Recession and Testing the Resonance of the American Dream, are articles from the New York Times. And so these are people talking about the American dream both being something that is believed in but also maybe in danger a little bit. And this last one right here is a little pamphlet that is a really interesting thing to look at because it deals exactly with what we're going to be looking at in this third unit, the portrayal of the American Dream in film. And it's by a gentleman who works in film, but what's interesting is it was made by the State Department. So it was something that would go into U.S. embassies across the world. So basically a way of defining what this dream is to other people. So that might give you an interesting perspective. What is it that we want people to think about us? So for today's discussion, you'll need to summarize those definitions of the American Dream in the articles. Where do they converge, which means where do they come together, where do they diverge, what similar shared principles do they all have about what it means to achieve the dream, do they have any similar ideas about what it means to not achieve the dream. So that's one paragraph, 100 to 150 words, and then the second paragraph of 100 and 150 words is what's your definition of the American Dream? Is it similar to the definitions in the articles, all of them, any of them specifically? And then use discussion, specific examples from your life, things you observed, plans you have to make your definition clear. When you're done with that, you need to respond to at least one of your peers with what the American Dream is. So this is going to be worth 15 points, 10 for your own analysis and 10 for your peer responses. We've got deadlines of Thursday for the first part, Monday before class for the second part. Coming up next, though, what we would have just done for homework is we do have a second discussion board. So you've got two, one making up for class and one that's going to be later. This is going to ask you to watch the film Malcolm X, and you can watch it for free right through Blackboard. There is 2 links right here. If you have any questions about how to use this feature, it's called Swank. It's something that lets us watch library-owned movies through Nova. There's some information down here for how to use this if you're having trouble with it. For many of you, especially if you've ever taken an online class or another hybrid class, you might have already had this installed, so you can just click on it. So there's some questions to think about as you watch the film, and I really do encourage you to take notes because while watching the film itself isn't graded, I can't see if you watched it or not, you're going to need to do them to do the discussion board, which is going to be in the hybrid portion of this week. So we can take a look at what both those discussion board questions are. So one final thing to show you guys before we head off for the day. So we've got our discussion board for Malcolm X right up here. Ask you to think about the different things that he might be dreaming. Does he have one or more? Does he ever reach it? So we want to make sure that we also look for a specific place that we can provide examples to prove whatever statements you make about this. So this one is going to be 30 points, 20 for your own and 10 for each of your peer responses. So we've got that one. We've got the snow day makeup one for 15 points down here. And then we also have a bonus discussion board, which is going to be great. I have an idea of a few films that we could use for the second assignment. I was going to show you some trailers in class today, but you guys know where to find those on YouTube or Apple Movie Trailers. I'm interested in what films you think might be interested for analyzing the American Dream. As you saw from my choices of commercials, sometimes mine are a little bit cheesy, so hey, let's let you guys see if you can come up with something a little bit better. So what you're going to need to do is to do all 3 of these. Include a link to a trailer of the film. Like I said, there's Apple Movie Trailers, there's YouTube, there's a lot of different websites where you can watch movie trailers from old movies, new movies, whatever you want. So you can think about something you've watched recently, something that you saw years ago, whatever. What you're going to do first is write a paragraph of 150 to 200 words analyzing how this film defines the American Dream. What does it mean to reach it for this film? Does the film suggest the dream is achievable or just that, a dream? And then in paragraph 2, we want to use a clear transition word and write a paragraph of 150 to 200 words analyzing how one character in your selected film does or does not achieve that dream. So is there a key quote? Is there something they do? Some methods. So you can earn up to 10 bonus points for a fully developed analytical 2-paragraph post of at least 300 words total. So to get those, 10 bonus points, I'm really going to be looking for some serious analysis here, seeing that you actually put some thought into it. Merely posting a link alone and something that is misspelled a few sentences is not going to work. A really well-developed one can get you back 10 points, and for those of you that might have missed a few assignments, definitely something to think about. You have until Sunday evening to post this because I want to be able to see Sunday 4 p.m. I want to be able to review them all before I come in with a list of films that I think will work for this. So again, if you pick a great film and you really sell it to me and say, hey, this has a great character, you can get another 10 bonus points if I select your film as an option. Like I said, I've got a few in mind that I've been thinking about, but those are certainly not the only ones out there. As you'll see when you do the short readings for this week, it's a big theme in American work to have the American dream. So you tell me, what do you like? What have you seen it? And maybe you can get yourself some bonus points in the way and make sure that we can all have a good experience writing the second paper. So everybody, that's about it. The only thing I wanted to remind everybody of one more time is when you're working on putting together your final essay one, don't forget that everybody was required, if you look at the rubric for it, to use at least 2 references to this reading from week 2 by Mr. Beard about how advertisements work. Very few people included that in their outline, and again, the outline or the draft is just that, a draft, so it certainly didn't count against you in that one, but it is going to be something we're going to look at for the final paper. Don't forget that you should look at the entire rubric, what is included, the assignment, as you are writing. So you can see right here that we're going to be looking for 750 to 850 words minimum, and I want the word count. So for those of you that said, oh, I feel like it's a little short right now, again, it's a draft, but now is the time to work on that. So thinking about all those requirements, MLA formats, developing your main ideas with multiple strategies. You want to prove the argument that the commercial is effective in reaching its argument. So lots of details right here. Just go through these and check as you go. So everybody, that's all for right now. Please email me if you have any questions, and don't forget to check your Nova email to get your draft back. I will see you guys all in person on Monday and hope to hear from a lot of you during the week in person during my office hours. Really, 5 minutes of office hours can often solve a lot of problems down the line for your writing, not just in an English class, but in all of your classes. Thanks, guys.